Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Sean Jakes. I'll be hosting the webinar. We'll get started in just 2 minutes.
So Sean, I'm seeing that we also have the raise hand feature as well. So we could be polite or we could just interrupt each other. I think I favor interrupting each other.
Do my best not to.
Sorry?
I'll do my best not to.
Oh no, go
No
ahead.
promises.
I encourage it. I think we already have some people in the audience as well using the hand up feature. That's cool. And I think everyone has access to the Q&A in chat, right?
Yes, Josh, and everyone can hear you.
Excellent.
All right, well, we'll get started here. So thanks everyone for joining. This webinar is called Breaking the Backlog, Vulnerability Intelligence Best Practices. I'm joined today, my name is Sean, and I'm joined today by Josh and Andy. Josh and Andy are threat intel advisors at Feedly, and they both came from industry. So I'll let Josh first start by introducing himself and give you just a minute of background. So Josh, you want to start?
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. I'm Josh. I work on the client team and have been with Feedly for around 2.5 years. I'm a staff threat intel advisor, so I get to work with clients and then also dive into some R&D and strategic projects. In terms of my background, my whole career has been in private sector threat intelligence. Started out in the geopolitical risk space, working in the Canadian finance sector, then moved over into cyber threat intelligence and went from finance into tech, and I have been with Feedly now for around 2.5 years.
Awesome. Andy, do you want to start?
Yeah, hi. So I was a CTI analyst in the defense sector for a while. From there, I did some other work like GRC, process improvement, and then from there went to vulnerability management in the education nonprofit space. And I'm also in the Army Reserves doing cyber support. So yeah, just been doing that. And I came over here to Feedly around July last year. So yeah, looking forward to
All
this.
right. And I'm just the dumb marketing host here, so I don't have the cyber experience like you guys do, but I will try to host this as intelligently as possible. One thing that everybody's probably going to ask is this being recorded, and will I get a copy of the recording? And the answer is, of course, yes. We'll send that out one day afterwards. So tomorrow you'll get an email for those who registered, along with a link to a quick survey. So if you do have the time and can fill out a couple of questions is just to provide some feedback on whether you find these webinars useful, that would be great and helpful, and thank you. So with that said, I have two quick get to know you questions for our panelists here. So the first one is we call these finish the sentence questions. So they're quick. Just the first thought is your best thought. So go ahead and just answer the first thing that comes to your mind. So when I was a CTI analyst, my biggest day-to-day challenge was, Josh.
The manual extraction of IOCs from threat intel reports and vendor reports, and then manually importing them into the tip we were using. It just took way too long, and I was kind of banging my head against the wall. Oh, and I've got one more. I was once on a CTI team where we had to produce a daily like a threat intelligence briefing for the executives, board of directors, and like the C-suite, just to keep them informed of like what was happening in the news. And that took so much daily cycles, not just of me, but of the whole team. So yeah, those two pain points, they'll stay with me for a long time.
Awesome. Well, we're not going to talk too much about those pain points today. Andy, so the biggest, when you were CTI analyst, the biggest daily challenge that you had was?
I would probably second Josh's first one of manually compiling and pulling, extracting IOCs from reporting. But second, maybe to get away from that one is probably just like really having to check different sources in various different places. Yeah.
Awesome. And okay, another one, a little less business-like, but my favorite cybersecurity movie or TV show is or was Josh?
Oh, this is tough. Because I want to jump to a podcast, Darknet Diaries. I'm obsessed with. I discovered it a couple years ago and then like watched all of the episodes back to the very first one. So it doesn't quite count as a TV show, but
It's a
yeah.
good one. I listened to that as well, so that's pretty good. All right, Andy, you got a TV show or a podcast? Not, well, I shouldn't say
Maybe not
podcast.
a maybe not a TV show. I don't know if like Professor Messer on YouTube, he definitely was a really great start into the security space when doing like Security Plus. So
Cool.
I won't plug him, but it was a great start.
All right. Well, you don't have to be an expert in cybersecurity to have a favorite movie or TV show. I think I liked Mr. Robot a lot. That was one of my favorites.
Mm.
Oh, true.
Currently, I'm really into this Zero Day, which I have one more episode, so no one spoil it for me. I think I know how it's going to go, but you know. Okay, so with that said, let me give you one quick slide on Feedly. For those of you who are just joining Feedly, Feedly is a lot more than just vulnerability intelligence, but we'll talk about vulnerability intelligence specifically today. But we also cover other use cases like, threat actor profiles, understanding cyber attacks, pulling IOCs out of reports, understanding geopolitical risks. So we like to think of it as, creating actionable intelligence in real time with help from AI. So we're not saying AI is necessarily replacing what you do, but it certainly can be an enabler. And um, if you think about Feedly, we look across millions of sources in the internet. Those can be news outlets, government advisories, security blogs, and we pull all that information into Feedly. And then our AI models will collect all that information. They'll read through it, they'll tag it, they'll understand it, link it to other things. So you understand the linkages between threat actors and malware or TTPs that they're using. And then you filter it all down to just the things that you're interested in. So related to the intelligence requirements that you're following, and then once you have those feeds, you can do other things with them. You can put them into your other tools, your SIM, your TIP. You can export that as sticks, formatted content, JSON into your, and then put it into an API into one of your other tools. You can also use this great feature we have called Ask AI, which allows you to do some analysis of the particular reports right there. Ask AI to kind of summarize or to pull out and extract certain data. So really taking it from raw data, filtering it down to the things that you need, and then allowing you to direct the AI to do some processing, and then sharing it through newsletters or through your tools. So that's what Feedly does. Hopefully, if you're interested in it, you'll give us a trial. But with that said, we're going to jump right into a couple of questions. So we're going to do this fairly interactively. One of the things we like to do is ask you for questions. So go ahead and put questions into the Q&A section. And when you put your questions in there, I will say the raised hand thing, we prefer that you ask questions in the Q&A. We've had some problems with opening up mics to participants where noise can come in or other problems. So please just ask your question in the Q&A, and we'll either cover that live or we'll answer it directly right there in written form in the Q&A. And once again, at the conclusion of this webinar, we'll send out an email tomorrow with not only the slides and the recording, but also any of the Q&A that was asked and answered in the format. So with that said, I'm going to move to the first question. We did have a couple of pre-questions just to get you guys going, and we'd really appreciate it if you asked some questions within the Q&A. That way it can be your specific needs and catered to you. So the first question we're going to ask our TI advisors is, how can I detect critical vulnerabilities relevant to my tech stack? And we're going to pose this first to Josh, and then we're going to let Andy critique Josh's answer. So Josh, take it away.
Sounds good. So for this, I'm going to jump into the platform and show you how I would approach this using my CTI analyst mindset. And being on CTI teams that needed to provide vulnerability intelligence, this is something that I have grappled with in the past. So I'm going to screen share and just get straight into the platform. So I want to show you the different things I would do personally to tackle this problem. Sean, I've sent you a request to steal the screen share from you.
Sorry about that. Yep.
Perfect. So with that, I'm now sharing my screen. Can everyone see it? Just give me a quick thumbs up. Perfect.
Yep.
So when it comes to the tech stack and tracking critical vulnerabilities against it, the first part of that I'd want to tackle is getting my tech stack into Feedly. And for that, I'm going to go and use a tool called custom lists. So it's over here in Feedly AI, and this is included for all enterprise plans. Just as a context card, a custom list is the ability to combine up to 50 other AI models or basic keywords and have them all roll up into a single AI model that you can then use in other parts of the platform. And I like it because it helps me manage large lists of products, vendors, threat actors, or just any other long list of topics that I want to analyze and gather intelligence on in different ways. So just to quickly show you what it looks like to create a custom list, I'm going to go and create a critical tech stack. And then I'm going to pick on some random vendors. No shade on Microsoft or any of the others that I'll be picking. But as you can see, you can add these and
Gosh,
pick
just a second. Even though, let me just do this. Let's see if you're sharing now. I got a point there, just still seeing the question.
Oh, really? Uh-huh. Interesting. Okay, let me.
I see it just fine.
Okay, I see your screen.
Okay, I'm going to restart my screen share and hopefully that works.
No, that was my bad. I tried the pause feature instead of just the stop sharing feature, and a feature I just discovered on this call, by the way. Uh, don't use it. Go ahead.
Okay, so with that in mind, shall I redo the first part and just kind of show things from scratch?
Yeah. Show how you get there.
Okay, so we're going to cancel this, ignore everything, and we'll go back to the start. So this is how I would tackle things. I mentioned the custom lists. This is a feature that we store in Feedly AI over here. And as mentioned, this is available for everyone on the enterprise plan. So you can hit custom lists, this tab over here, and then new custom list. And I'm going to give this a name. So this will be Josh's critical tech stack. And then I'm going to go and pick on some random companies to add into my supply chain. You've got the choice here. You can use the AI model that we suggest. And for company models, that will include the company name, aliases, and its key domain or domains. Then there's also the basic keyword match. So you can essentially enter anything into your custom list. And I'm going to go and pick on a couple others. Let's do Avanti. And you can also go down to the specific vendor, sorry, the product as well. So we could go and pick some specific ones like Microsoft Teams, Gmail, and Cisco. Let's go for Cisco Catalyst. And as you can see over here, we've got a ticker that'll tell you how many products or sorry, how many entities you've added into this custom list. And I'll just do one more and then we will go and save this. So I would add in all of the products in my tech stack, and these all get added in a big OR function. I then hit create, and I now have that custom list available. And I can go back and edit and change it at any point. So it's really helpful when it comes to centrally managing your tech stack. And then the second part is I would take that my tech stack list and go and chuck it into the vulnerability dashboard. So this dashboard has been set up to give you an aggregated view of the CVE landscape. And there's some filters that you can apply to really drill down to what's relevant to your particular tech stack or your particular Intel requirement. To give you a quick high-level overview before jumping into things, we can set some filters up here, including a time filter and all sorts of additional filters like these ones here. And this will change the rest of the dashboard. So for example, if I change it to the last 30 days, we can see that the total number of CVEs has changed. You can see how many were weaponized, exploited, attribution to vendors and products, affected vendors and products, attribution to malware families, and to threat actors, and pivot between different types of charts. And then down here, we've got the vulnerability table. So this will give you a high-level view of all the CVEs that have been captured in this particular time range using these filters. So if I wanted to track the most critical CVEs against my tech stack, I would change some of the filters here. I'll leave it for the last 30 days, but I'm going to hit and go down to my custom list. And it's here that I will go and hunt down that list of products, add that in, and now we've jumped down from around 10,000 CVEs to just 673. Quick scroll down, you can see these vulnerabilities here are going to be relevant to the vendors I've selected. But I'm interested in the most critical, the highest risk CVEs. So what I'm going to do is add a second layer, and I want to go for those vulnerabilities that have been exploited, have a proof of concept, have been weaponized, or are in the CSICEV catalog to drill down to just 47. I want to remove the ones that have been patched because they are less of a concern. Okay, so we now drop down to just 2. But just for the sake of the demo, I'm going to actually remove that, and we're going to drill down based on severity. So I want to just pick up those CVEs that have a CVSS score of 8 or above, or they are estimated to be a high score CVS, or to have a high CVSS score once they finally get analyzed and assessed. And then I also want to add in a top tier EPSS score as well. So now I can see all of the CVEs relevant to my tech stack that have appeared in the last 30 days. There's 21 of them, and I know that all these 21 are going to be high severity. So dropping down to the table, we can now see that the vendors and products are going to be ones relevant to my tech stack, and all these CVEs are going to be high severity. So this is how I would keep an eye on CVEs relevant to my tech stack, especially those that are high risk. And we can also go and add in that additional patch exclusion, expand this out, and just see if there are any unpatched ones floating around. And in this case, there are 9. So those ones would be prioritized first, and then I'll kind of run through the list. So that's how I would tackle it. Andy, did I miss anything?
Not really. In platform, this is definitely the way I would do it as well. The only other addition I would have is prior to this, speaking more operationally and practically, I would probably use something like a banner grab or some other plugins or checks, depending on your vulnerability scanner, to pull in those.
Okay, gotcha. I think I captured
software systems that are available. So that's pulling in what you're known. Sorry about that. My phone started ringing and then it messed up my thing. Anyways, to be able to pull in those softwares, so doing software enumerations, banner grabs, things of that nature, to create that initial list that you created your tech stack from.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, good point there. And I should add, so when it comes to custom lists, the process I showed you is the process to create them inside the UI. And as you can probably see, it's a bit of a manual process. If you have a couple hundred products to add into a custom lists, we can use multiple custom lists in an OR function. So you can bring in all 200 of those products into the same row in the dashboard. But I also wanted to add that if you are struggling with the manual curation process, you can always reach out to your threat intel advisor and we can assist with that. We've got a couple tools and tips and tricks to help speed up the creation of those custom lists, because we're very interested in helping you get your tech stack inside of Feedly and inside of a dashboard as soon as possible.
Hey, Josh, there's a couple of questions related to this that are kind of related to your custom list or might be answered with that. So the first one is, I have an operational technology client use case. How would you fit Feedly to filter for OT-specific vulnerabilities?
So for that, well, it depends if you have the specific list of OT products and tech that you're trying to track. If you don't,
Sometimes it can be challenging to get a full OT asset inventory or tech stack from a client.
yeah, definitely a challenge, for sure. I've been there before and found it tricky to even get a full like decent tech stack list from an internal stakeholder. So I can empathize there. If I just wanted to track like CVEs that are relevant to like the OT sector in general, I would go and use an AI feed for that. So what we can do is we can essentially use an AI feed which serves as a filter on your sources. And I would go and pick critical vulnerabilities. And this will filter to any content that mentions a CVE that has a CVSS score of 8 or above, or 5 or above, but there's a known active exploit. I'd use this, and then I would go and add a second layer for OT. I have to type it down, operational technology. And the articles are going to jump down from over 2,000 a month down to 12 articles, sorry, 2,000 per week, down to 12 articles per week. And I would also use, there we go, ICS as well. So this is a little trick I like about picking AI models is you can hit and you can go and type in what you're interested in tracking. But we do have a drop-down menu for the suggested AI models that are related to the one you just added. So here you can go and chuck in industrial control systems if I'm interested in SCADA. And then this might, there we go, increase the articles per week. So we can set up something like this, whereby we're now filtering content. It has to mention a CVE with a high CVSS score or predicted to be high. And it has to mention operational technology, ICS or SCADA. Right now we're on 44 articles per week. And this is right now this is set to find in title and content. So we will scan an entire article. And if there's any mention of any of these three terms or their aliases in the title or the content, that article gets included. But if you're interested in like articles that are more precisely about the topic relating to ICS, we can go from finding title and content to just finding title. And now we only bring in articles if they mention one of these terms in the title or the first two sentences. So we'll see here that all these articles are written very squarely about ICS or one of the other OT terms we got up there.
Okay,
So yeah,
thanks.
yeah.
Let me move you on to the next question. So the question is essentially, how do you manage an accurate inventory in Feedly? It's incredibly difficult to add all relevant products manually, especially in large organizations. Can we import trackers for Feedly parsing or mapping?
We can import. So as mentioned, your threat intel advisor can help with the import of custom lists and then the updating of them. In terms of adding products, there we could also explore using the API for it just as a way to further like automate that as well. Again, this would be something that I recommend discussing with the threat intel advisor you're working with, as they will know the specific API call and pathway that you can use to like further automate this process, recognizing it can be a bit tricky. And then I should also add, if this is a process that you don't have the time or capacity to do, and let's say that you've got like 1,000 products that you need to track, there is an add-on feature called a large company list, whereby our machine learning engineer team can take a CSV from you, and this can be sent like once a month and updated once a month. Then they can take that and create a single AI model from it, and then add that to your account, as well as add in sources relevant like press releases for the companies featured in that list. So if you wanted to explore an add-on that is minimal work for you, but then uses our machine learning engineering team, we can look at that as well. So there are a couple different options. Great
Okay.
question.
There's a couple more questions. This one is, how would this work with open source software such as OpenSSL? So I assume it's asking kind of, I think this is probably submitted back when you were creating the feed. So
Sorry, can you please repeat the question? I don't have the
how
question
would
here.
this work with open source software such as OpenSSL? I mean, we do track vulnerabilities related to open source software as well, right? Some of these like OpenSSL.
Yeah, as long as there's as like reports about those CVEs, and as long as there are reports about that particular like open source tool and CVEs have been published in the open web, and it's a source that Feedly's tapped into, or you've added into your Feedly account, then we would be able to bring in that information inside of your dashboard or your AI feed.
So essentially, if I mean, you would look for it and add it like a product, like you would any commercial product.
Yeah, so you can either go and pick that specific product and add it as a machine learning model here, or we could add it into our tech stack. So for example, if we do the open SSL, we can see that it's an existing AI model. So we could go and add this in and then set up tracking like this.
Okay, yeah, no, I think that answers the question. So you do see some articles related to OpenSSL vulnerabilities as well. One person asked if there was an ability to define the version
So
that
for
they're looking for.
version, sorry, Andy, did you want to jump in here?
Nope, go for it. Yeah, you're doing great. I'm just looking through the questions on the chat here to try and see if I can answer some via chat.
So with versions, you can add them in. For this, I would use a basic keyword match. So I'm just going to create a version code. And to enable you to set up filters and monitoring and searches for anything, you can always use a basic keyword match. So you aren't limited to just AI models we created. And we could set up something like this, whereby we're doing a search for the product and then down to the version code. So when it comes to creating those custom lists, you can also use a basic, you can also fill that list with basic keyword matches. So you could go and input your specific version codes. And then again, as long as that version code is featured in a piece of open source content that says like this particular version has been breached by this vulnerability, we can bring it into Feedly.
Okay, I think we've handled most of the questions. This one's a little bit different. It says, what specific methods can users implement to enhance Feedly's AI understanding of their unique industry context beyond standard reading patterns?
So yeah, we already have, I'll jump in and take this one then. We already have something similar to this. So as Josh was creating some of those AI feeds or move zoom out of the way, dashboards, we do have the capability to do something like that. So like if we did critical vulnerabilities, we can actually do it against a particular industry. So let's just say something like finance industry. And with every industry model, we generally have a company's model. And so you can have that contextual already defined. So you can look for your critical vulnerabilities within your specific industry.
Okay. Let's go to the next question that I had from the thing. So I'll just show this on screen really quickly. The question was, how can I gather context on a CVE if it lacks analysis by the NVD? Sorry, I'm not showing that yet. It's because I'm having a little challenge here, but but how can I gather specific context? How can I gather context on a CVE if it lacks analysis by the NVD?
Yep, happy to jump in there as well. So for this one, what I would do then is I would recommend using our follow sources feature. And so then I would go to the specific vendor sites, and I would go to something like Fortinet. Fortinet. Right. And so then you can go to their like security advisories. And then you can grab their advisories there. So you can either grab the URL here and drop it into here. Of course, this is probably something we're already pulling in. So I'll go ahead and drop that in so you can see what that would look like. So if we already have it, it'll be here in the results. If not, we can always use the build RSS feed, and then you can build it that way. And you can pull specific pieces out of their advisories. Additionally, then I would look as well at the cybersecurity bundles that we have and look at some of those more trusted sources, Packet Storm, Zero Day. You'll get CISA alerts. So even though that NVD may not have the additional context quite yet or the analysis done, we can always go into some of these more trusted sources and kits that we've created to include security advisories as well.
So, Andy, why don't you take a little step further and just show them
Mhm.
where in Feedly you would see that context?
Yeah, so once you go to, so let's say we're tracking a specific CVE. So let's just go in critical vulns, right? And we're just looking at all critical vulnerabilities. We have the ability to select what sources we're going to pull that information from. And so, for example, let's say I've created my favorite sources that I like. So I have a security news folder that right. So here are some sources I have acquired and compiled here. And so I can specifically pick that so that I can know that these are my trusted sources, if you will. Security, if I can type. And there you have it. So this is how you can select that. You can also look at, again, what I showed earlier about the vulnerabilities, vulnerability management type feeds, folders and sources, security advisories. So this is just a good way to you can see here security advisories to kind of show or select specific researchers or sources for vulnerabilities outside of NVD. Of course, it's showing some NVD sources here, but you can see some of the other ones as well.
I think also, Sean, I'd love to jump in here just to build upon that. The place that I would go for context on a specific CVE would be the CVE Insights card. So this is a product that we've created to act as like profiles for individual CVEs, and for every vulnerability brought into Feedly via open source reports, we create one of these insights cards. So this is what it looks like. It's a place where we're bringing in all sorts of information, not only from NVD, but also from other security vendors, other advisories, other CVE databases. And we'll compile all this information here and continuously update it. So I saw that there was a question about increases in EPSS score. You would see that increase noted here and added into these insights cards as soon as it becomes available. So we bring in this information, we create statements about that summarize the vulnerability, its impact, its exploitation, if there's any patches or mitigations. We include the CVSS vector. And then there's also a timeline here. So if you did want to track EPSS score, you can see what if there has been any EPSS developments in this timeline. So we can see down here there is one example attributed by first. And you can also reorder these events, newest to oldest, to just change things as you see fit. So we can see there's an increase in EPSS. Beneath that, we've got an infographic that shows the volume of online reporting about this vulnerability. And then we have our sources cited, and we tag to the original source and kind of like document where we're bringing in that information from, so you can go and gather more info. And then we've got the CVSS vector written out in full there. So if I was wanting to gather context on a CVE, I would go to the insights card. And I'm very happy to say that these insights cards exist inside the enterprise platform, but we do also provide a free database for insights cards for anyone to use. So I believe, Gabby, if you have a link to that database, it'd be great to post in the chat.
Okay, so let's go to the next question. So I will try this again. How do you take action on 0 days?
So for this,
okay, Josh, you got it? All right.
did you want me to jump in or Andy?
Josh, if you're ready, go ahead.
Sure. So for this one, let's go and pick a real 0 day. We've got an AI model that can filter to them. And we have around 120 articles. So I want to pick one. So we've got CVE 2025, 27, 30, sorry, 2783. So the first thing that I would do is jump into the article itself. We do a tag at the tops of articles that mention 0 days. We will tag the proof of exploit mention and statement from the article. So we can see here the nature of the exploit, and then that'll give us more information to go and read on. From this, I'll jump into the insights card to gather more context and information on this vulnerability and on the exploit that's been mentioned. Or sorry, on the 0 day. And from here, we can then start to see the additional sources that have reported on this 0 day and kind of gather some more information and context about it. At this point, once I know that this is a 0 day that I need to action, I would then go to the Ask AI tool. And this is a tool that lets you run prompts on groups of articles or on the CVE insights card. And from here, you've got a couple different options to further action this information. I could write a custom prompt that just says, provide details of the 0 day. If there's a patch available, and recommended, and other recommended mitigations. And now run this prompt against the information in the insights card. This will just help me process that information and format it to answer some key questions about this 0 day. One way that you can verify that the information is using the in-text citations. So you can go and do additional reading into it if you wanted to check where the information is coming from. But immediately, instead of me needing to go and read a bunch of different articles to understand the particular nuance of the question I'm trying to answer, I can now just read the information here. So Ask AI is a tool that I really like when it comes to processing and exploiting large amounts of information and quickly gathering answers to questions about a new 0 day or a new cyber attack. So we can see here that we've got the details of the exploitation, patch information, recommended mitigations, and additional security measures, as well as some additional technical details. So with this information, I would copy the response and then chuck it into an email and send it out to my vulnerability management team. The other thing that I would also consider, if I needed to write up like a more formal report as opposed to just some quick answers to this question, I would go and explore the prompt library, and I would go and see the other prompts that we've created out there for all our clients to use. So we can see that there's a couple here that I could use if I was in a big rush and I just wanted to quick fire out some questions that have been pre-saved. I would go and use one of these prompts and then build a slightly different answer based on the nature of the prompt selected. Taking this information and then chucking it into an email or a Teams or Slack message is how I would quickly action this particular 0 day.
All right, cool. Andy, what do you think? Do you got any other thoughts on 0 days that you wanted to share?
Yeah, this is something I've been working on in here, and I'm excited to show it here on the webinar. So I will steal the screen and share what I've built. So much like what Josh's workflow was, which is to kind of look at the reporting around a particular vulnerability. So just now, he had picked this particular 0 day. So I went and found a bunch of reporting around it. And using our new AI in newsletters, I was able to create this custom reporting. So I have a prompt that I've created to then create this specific report in newsletters. And this, you can actually send it from here straight in email instead of having to copy and paste it out. So it'll contain your executive summary, quick details, description, severity, impact stuff. If there's any POCs or exploitation in there, get a section for remediation and any additional recommendations thereafter as well. So just another workflow to accomplish the same thing, but in a different feature of ours.
That's cool. Andy, quick question about this. So are you pulling in these articles from an AI feed, or did you save them to a team board first?
Correct. Yeah. So what I did is I saved them to a particular board, excuse me. So what you can see here is that I'm pulling from my vulnerability webinar board and just dropping it right in there. And then here you can see the prompt. So stay posted. I'll end up working with Gabby here to send a blog post about this later.
That's cool. Maybe just for some context, in case anyone's not familiar with team boards, could you quickly show us like what your board looks
Yeah, of
like and
course.
how different to the AI feeds we've been showing?
So AI feeds, right? Think of it as from here on out, I want to monitor for this thing versus a team board, more of a collaborative situation. So, doing it live as you pulled up this particular 0-day number, I went and found it. And then I just found a bunch of articles related to it, assuming that these are good sources, this is what I want to use to report on. I just saved them to a board. And that looks simply like going to, the way I did it actually, is going through the CV Insight card. So we'll just pop into a CV Insight card. And then coming all the way to the bottom here, you'll see that there's some reporting around it. And so I just simply hit save to board. And I have this vulnerability webinar board that I've created. And it's just as simple as that.
Nice one. And just to champion my solution even more, you can also use Ask AI inside of a team board. So some say it's that like my suggestion was better.
Guys, I would say we are about 35 minutes into presenting solutions, and I have yet to see the vulnerability dashboard yet.
I showed that first.
Oh,
Okay.
my bad. You're right. You did show it. So one of the questions that is still kind of open out here, and maybe we don't have the best answer for it, but the question is, can you get a list of CVEs that had a significant increase in EPSS score? I know you showed it on an individual CVE insights card, but what about getting a list or maybe extracting data through the API or some other way?
Sean, you pessimist. I've got a great answer for
Oh,
this, and it does involve going back into the dashboard. So for this one, I'm going to jump back into the vulnerability dashboard, and I'm going to set up a search. So let's just do, let's say like the last. So I'm going to filter all the information to reports over the last 30 days that I mentioned CVEs. I'm going to remove trending, and I'm going to set the second filter to an EPSS score. So let's just do 80 to 90. Right now we have 468 CVEs, and this list will continuously update. So you can hit save and then revisit this particular saved dashboard view. And what will happen is whenever a CVE has a new EPSS score added or increased, it will then appear inside this list. So you'll be able to go and view this inside the dashboard itself. We can edit these columns and we can drag the EPSS score right up to the top. So you can see which CVEs have the highest EPSS score. And then like as those scores change and get updated, they will appear inside this list. Because we have just set this to the last 30 days and EPSS, we are going to also be bringing in historical CVE insights cards and CVEs. If we just had like a preference for only like newly discovered vulnerabilities, and we weren't interested in the historical ones with an increase in EPSS, you can also filter to just recently published ones. Oh, excellent. So in the last 30 days, there haven't been any high EPSS score CVEs. And I think this also like feeds back into the strength of using this with like a more open filter, because this will show those historical CVEs as they increase in severity. And then the final portion of your question, when it comes to tracking this and constantly reviewing any updates to this dashboard, you can go inside the platform, or you can export this via API. So we can actually take the information from the dashboard and have it exported once an hour, once a day, whatever your preference is, and have it exported to another security tool, maybe a SIEM, TIP, or SOAR solution. And finally, if you then needed to export this as CSV and like fire it off to your VM team, you can do that as well. So there are a couple of different export options that you can use to keep an eye on this high EPSS score list.
Okay.
And so actually, I'll jump in here while you still have this up, Josh. There was a question about adding alerting or newsletter abilities to the Vuln dashboard, if there's any plans around doing that. I know that there's a feature request for that right now out to do that, but also because this dashboard does have an API, there is a way that we have some scripts that we've created already that you can check this dashboard and then compare for any sort of differences in that. So
Oh, that's true. Aaron wrote that script, didn't he?
yeah.
Yeah. So if you are interested in doing this and like exporting that data, have a chat with your threat intel advisor, because there is one of our colleagues who's far smarter than me wrote a script to export that information, then like import it, or sorry, export it into different formats. So yeah, there's a couple different solutions we can also use.
Since you're on the vulnerability dashboard, I got a question directly on this. Do you have any plans to add affected versions into the vulnerability dashboard? Due to the bottlenecks on the NVD, we observe so many old vulnerabilities, or do you have any other solutions to tackle this problem?
So we do have affected versions on the vulnerability dashboard already. Josh, if you could add an and statement and do something like Windows Server, and you'll be able to see, for example, if you just type in Windows Server, it'll pop up some of the subversions. So if there is a CPE, I believe I threw that in the chat there, but if you have a CPE, it should map here to the vulnerabilities. So obviously that is based off of the NVD, but if there is reporting around it, you should be able to catch it there as well in the feeds as well. But yes, we do have affected products. And then you can also scroll down to the table and you should be able to see affected products there, as well as the insight card will also contain affected products. So you'll see there's a column there for products.
Okay,
And
great.
sorry,
Sorry,
just to
is there another comment, Josh?
add on there. If you're looking at the products, this is based on CPE data, and I want to find you an example of something. Sometimes we will have CVEs that are published without CPE data added to them. And I'm happy to say that where we have enough information in the description or open source reports about that vulnerability, we do have an AI model that will be doing an assignment or like an estimate of what the CPE data will be. So this is one way that we can still enable you to do some filtering when it comes to tracking brand new CVEs that haven't yet been analyzed and enriched. So if you see this little AI icon, that's what that means.
Okay, cool. Let me go back to the slides. I'll show you one more question, and then we'll see if we have any other questions in the chat, and then we'll close it out. By the way, we are going to point you to a couple of resources I think Gabby has already they're good free resources to go check out. Sorry, so the last question. How can I speed up reporting on priority vulnerabilities to other stakeholders that aren't using Feedly?
Yep. So I kind of jumped the gun on my answer earlier by showing off the report that I had built. But luckily, if you are using the automated newsletters, you don't. The people receiving those newsletters do not have to have a Feedly subscription. So there it is, right? So you can create those automated newsletters and send those out to people who are not receiving or who not currently have a subscription within Feedly.
What about anything else like Slack, Teams? You want
I
to
got one.
time that way?
Yeah, I'll jump into that. So not everyone has a Feedly account, but everyone, I imagine, has either Slack or Teams. So for that one, we're going to jump into the export options for AI feeds. If I wanted to get information like, so this is an AI feed I previously created to map to my PIRs, and I want to export any new articles that jump into this AI feed and have them exported out to another team that's using Slack and Slack or Teams. You can go down to sharing, and you've got the ability to integrate your Slack with Feedly. And with this, you can go and enter in a specific Slack channel ID, and then any new article will get pushed to that Slack channel. So you can create a shared Slack channel with your VM team or with some key tech teams that enact patches, and then you can be pushing those new articles to it. I'll show you an example of what this looks like when it enters Slack. So you won't get as much information as you would get inside the platform, but this will be giving you links to articles that have been picked up by particular AI feeds. And then we do hyperlink. So this hyperlink will take me back into the Feedly platform because I'm logged into Feedly. But if I wasn't, it'll take me to the original source because we do always link to the original source, recognizing that not everyone has a Feedly account. And also because we always like to give you that ability to go and view the information yourself. So you can set this up at the AI feed level. You can also set this up at the team board level. So this is a way that you can like manually select the articles that then get shared out to that Slack or Teams channel, and one way that you can like regulate the volume of articles that end up in that destination.
All right, awesome. All right, so let me just wrap this up really quickly. I really appreciate everyone's time. First of all, I realize that you have lots of other things that were commanding your time. The one thing I can say is that you can reach any of us, Josh, Sean, Andy, just by doing our first name at feedly.com. So if you do have some additional questions, you can always reach us that way. The other thing I would say is we do have a free trial. So if you're not using Feedly yet, go out to feedly.com/threat-intelligence. You'll see all the stuff about Feedly Threat Intelligence. It does a lot more than just vulnerability intelligence, but there are other use cases around threat actors and IOCs and malware and geopolitical, etc. And you can start a free trial. Now, it will say 7-day trial, but if you need to extend it, that's no problem. Just reach out to, there's a little button at the top that says, I want to extend my trial and talk to sales and they'll extend it. But you can see it without having to do anything. You don't have to enter your credit card. You don't have to talk to sales. You can just go out there and try it for 7 days if you haven't used it yet. So with that said, I'll close the webinar. Thank you very much. We will send out a replay along with links to the slides and the questions and answers that we've collected throughout this webinar. So thank you very much, Josh, Andy, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers. Bye for now.